I watched a guy celebrate putting $1,000 into the stock market like he just won the lottery. Meanwhile, his buddy, same age, same job, quietly deployed 100 grand. 3 years later, one of them retired early. The other one's still Googling best penny stocks. And you know what's wild? They both thought they were investing smart. Numbers don't lie, but hope does. This is Professor Chalkman. Let's talk about what really happens when you invest $1,000, $10,000, or $100,000. That guy I mentioned, the one celebrating his $1,000, let me tell you what happened to him. Year 1, he's checking his app constantly. Up $3? He's texting screenshots to the group chat. Down $8? He's reading articles about market crashes at 2 a.m. He tells everyone at brunch, "Yeah, I'm in the market now," like he just joined an exclusive club. And you know what his portfolio did that year? If he was lucky, made $100. Maybe. Before taxes, that's 2 dinners. 3 if you skip appetizers. Now here's where it gets painful. His buddy, the one who dropped 100 grand, never mentioned his portfolio at brunch. Never posted about it. Just quietly let it compound. And 3 years in, the $1,000 guy is still trying to time the market, still chasing tips on Reddit, still hoping his 2 shares of whatever will moon. Meanwhile, his buddy, he's putting in his 2 weeks. Same starting point, same salary, same opportunities, but completely different endings. And that's when reality hits, right? The math isn't inspiring when the numbers are small. Look, I'm not telling you this story to make you feel bad. I'm telling you because that $1,000 guy, he's still out there, still investing, still hoping. And his buddy already moved to Portugal. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was capital, and understanding what each tier of capital actually does. So let's talk about $10,000. This is where people start to feel it. Because 10 grand, that took work. You didn't stumble into $10,000. You said no to stuff. You skipped trips. You drove the old car longer. You meal prepped when everyone else was on Seamless. And when you finally deploy that 10,000, the game shifts. I had a client, mid-30s, software engineer, came into my office excited, nervous. He'd been saving for 2 years, $10,000, ready to invest. He sits down and says, "Professor, I need this to work. This is everything." And I look at him. I say, "You're right. This is everything. So let's not screw it up." Here's what he didn't understand yet. $10,000 at 10% annually? That's $1,000 a year. That's $83 a month. That's real money, but it's not life-changing money. Not yet. You're still working. You're still grinding. But here's the difference between 1,000 and 10,000. You start to believe. Because when you see a $1,000 gain in a year, that's visceral. That's not a rounding error anymore. That's a vacation, a car payment, a buffer. You stop checking your account out of anxiety. You start checking it out of curiosity. And that shift, that psychological shift, is worth more than the math. Because belief makes you do it again and again. Now, let's talk about the number nobody wants to discuss. $100,000. You know why people don't talk about this? Because it sounds impossible. Because if you're sitting at 1,000 or 10,000, 100 grand feels like Everest. But here's the thing. Once you cross into 6 figures, everything changes. Not because you're smarter. Not because the market suddenly likes you more. But because compound interest finally has something to work with. I'll tell you about Stacy, 38 years old, teacher, 2 kids. She hit 100,000 invested after 15 years of grinding. 15 years. She came to my office, and you know what she said? She cried. She said, "I didn't think this was real. I thought this was for other people." And I told her, "Look at your statement. You are other people now. 100,000 at 10%? That's $10,000 a year. That's $833 a month without you lifting a finger. That's a part-time income. That's your car payment, your groceries, your insurance, covered by money you're not even touching." And here's where it gets weird. At 100 grand, you stop saying, "I'm investing." You start saying, "My money is working." Because it is. While you sleep, while you teach, while you binge Netflix. Your money is out there, grinding. And that's the difference. At 1,000, you're hoping. At 10,000, you're building. At 100,000, you're compounding. But let's be brutally honest about how you get there. Because nobody wakes up with 100 grand. You know what it takes? It takes saying no for years. It takes driving a car that's good enough when everyone else is leasing. It takes living in the smaller apartment. It takes watching your friends go to Ibiza while you go to a state park. It takes being the boring one at dinner because you're not splitting appetizers. And here's the part that hurts. While you're sacrificing, Nobody's cheering. Nobody's throwing you a parade for investing another $2,000. Your family thinks you're cheap. Your friends think you're obsessed. You start to wonder, am I insane? And then one day, you check your account, and it says 6 figures. And you realize, you were never insane. You were just early. You ever notice how people celebrate spending but not saving? Someone buys a $60,000 truck? Congrats, bro, she's a beauty. Someone saves $60,000? Why are you hoarding money? Live a little. Ha ha, it's wild. We throw parties for liabilities and judge people for assets. And that's why most people stay stuck at the $1,000 level. Because the culture celebrates the wrong game. So let's get real. Where are you? If you're at 1,000, you're learning. Keep going. If you're at 10,000, you're building. Don't stop now. If you're at 100,000, you've made it to the starting line of real wealth. And if you're at 0, you're one decision away from 1,000. Here's what nobody tells you about moving between these tiers. From 0 to 1,000, that might take 6 months if you're aggressive. From 1,000 to 10,000, that's 2 to 4 years of consistent discipline. From 10,000 to 100,000, that's another 8 to 12 years. Unless you increase your income, unless you get aggressive, unless you stop treating investing like a hobby and start treating it like your escape plan. And look, I know what you're thinking. Professor, this sounds slow. This sounds hard. Yeah, it is. But you know what's harder? Being 55 and starting over. Being 65 and still working because you have to, not because you want to. You'll understand what I mean soon enough, or you'll learn it the expensive way. Now for your homework. I want you to calculate 3 numbers. 1. How much are you investing per month right now? Write it down. 2. Multiply that by 12. Then multiply by 10. That's your 10-year projection if you change nothing. 3. Now add 20% to your monthly contribution. Redo the math. Look at the difference. That gap? That's the vacation you skipped. The car payment you avoided. The latte you didn't buy. That's the cost of your future. And you get to decide if it's worth it. The difference between 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000 isn't just math. It's identity. It's whether you're someone who tries to invest or someone who becomes an investor. Most people spend their whole lives in the first category, talking about it, planning it, wishing for it. And a small group? They skip the talk. They live smaller now so they can live larger later. And 20 years from now, they'll be the ones retiring early while everyone else is Googling how to catch up on retirement savings. Don't be everyone else. This is Professor Chalkman. Class dismissed.